The farm was established in 1843. It's basically been about the same size since the early 1900s, but it started with William Bartlett, and then Albert after him, and John Sr., and then my grandfather John Jr., who was known as June, and then my dad Phil.
The farm originally was a dairy farm, and at one time they had over 100 head of cattle on the farm. They used to raise all their own feed, they raised their own corn, they had silos and you put up corn silage, and they had ear corn and they had hay. Cows were here until probably about 1947. The biggest problem was you couldn't turn off the cows after September. You had to keep them milking them, and that was the main thing. You had to gear up for that spring milk and summer milk, and it was difficult. After the cows went, my father had some sheep. We had probably 300 head of sheep here at one time, and we had the sheep from 47 through early 50s, I guess it was. And then gradually we went into the vegetables, growing vegetables and so forth. And they'd always grown some vegetables here, but then we started more into vegetables after that.
Bartlett's farm first started growing tomatoes. Actually, my grandfather had done it when he was in his late 70s as something for him to do when he was getting on in age. And my brother John had kind of taken over the tomato house from my grandfather, and John had taught Daniel and I to grow. And when we were tender ages, 7 or 8 years old, we had our own greenhouse. So I've been growing greenhouse tomatoes for over 30 years. I think the key to growing a good greenhouse tomato is ample sunshine. If you don't have the sunshine, then I don't think the tomato is going to taste or perform well. I've always said that the key to my greenhouse tomatoes is my proprietary secret of my fertilizer regimen, which could be true and could not be true.
When I was a kid, the farm was hard work and long days. If things needed to be picked, we were out there at a young age holding baskets while Dad picked corn, or we picked vegetables and radishes and carrots and beets and pretty much any vegetable that you had here in the 70s and early 80s. It was probably picked or carried by one of the Bartlett brothers.
We all kind of started with smaller jobs like that, and as we got older, we'd drive tractors or drive trucks and manage some of the crews.
Until they went off to college and so forth, they pretty much worked on the farm.
We worked a lot of hours as kids, and my brothers and I got all our experience when we were younger to be able to take over the farm from all the experience and the knowledge that my father had given us.
Family experiences is good. All siblings are working in the business. It's nice that we all have something different to do. Cindy with the bookkeeping, John managing, David doing all the greenhouse production, and myself doing the mechanic work.
My dad still does a tremendous amount of work here on the farm. He has a great amount of knowledge and has been working on the farm for I guess close to 70 years now. It's always nice to be able to have him to kind of fall back on when you have a question that you can't really figure out yourself. He still loves to get out there and be on the tractor, and it's kind of my first passage of spring, really. It's not really spring until I see Dad out on the tractor pulling the plow and turning the soil, and that's really kind of the start of every year for me.
Well, I think probably the biggest thing is just to see the accomplishment and just to see the renewal every spring. You keep doing it. Like I said, plowing is probably my favorite. You can see what you've done. You're turning up a new soil, and after the fields are ready and the plants are in, you see the progression of the growth and so forth, from its tiny seed to harvest. That's probably the biggest thing is to see the changes year after year and so forth, I think, and it's enjoyable to do it.
I've always said that being a farmer is the most honest living that anyone could do. I mean, we're shepherds of the earth, and it's an honest living.
Going forward into the future, we hope that Bartlett's farm will always be an integral part of the community, and also to be able to provide a service as far as being able to get fresh flowers or fresh vegetables or a good sandwich, and also to be able to enjoy the ride out here and come out and see what we have going on out here.